Welcome back, everybody, to the KC Sports Report. I'm your host, Michael Darcy, and today I'm going to break down the latest news in the Rashee Rice injury. So, ladies and gentlemen of the Chiefs Kingdom, we got a massive update in the Rashee Rice injury coming from multiple different sources. So, Adam Schefter, right before game time yesterday, tweeted out that after consulting with doctors, there's, quote, a lot of optimism that standout wide receiver Rashee Rice didn't suffer a knee injury as significant as first believed. Rice will be put under anesthesia Tuesday to determine the extent of his injury, but the belief now is that he could come back. And then he quote tweeted that very same tweet saying it's unlikely that Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice will play again this season, but doctors will not know for sure until they perform surgery Tuesday morning, per source. So the fact that we've already gotten conflicting reports from Ian Rappaport, who said that Rice needs his LCL repaired, but there's a chance that the ligament is the only thing that needs to be repaired. And then Schefter says that, after consulting with doctors, there's a lot of optimism. And then he comes out and says that, there might not be a lot of optimism. So let's just go over what we know. Rashee Rice suffered a lower leg injury to his right leg. I believe it is an LCL injury according to Ian Rappaport. So an LCL injury to his right knee, and I'm going to be using Dr. Jesse Morse's tweet on Twitter to kind of get to the bottom of what an LCL injury really is and how significant it really is. So the LCL, according to Dr. Jesse Morse, is a super rare injury. An isolated LCL injury is super rare and only happens like 2% of the time when it comes to knee injuries. And so, apparently, if surgery is necessary, which means that it fully tore, then reconstruction would actually be preferred over just repairing the ligament. And so, I guess this is a very complicated thing. I'm trying to kind of piece it together as I'm reading it. But basically, they hope that it's not a full tear of his LCL, but it'd be very rare if it wasn't. And so, I think that reading between the lines, using both of their reporting, Rashee Rice tore his ACL, and we are going to find out today, Tuesday, October 8th, if Rashee Rice is going to miss the full season or he's going to miss most of the season. And so I'm kind of at the point where I think Rashee Rice is going to miss the remainder of this season, which absolutely sucks because at one point we had actual belief that Rashee Rice was going to, come back at some point this season. It might have been way later on in the year, but I think that there was a pretty good portion of Chiefs Kingdom that had at least some belief, some hope that Rashee Rice would come back at some point this season. I think all that hope is gone. I do not have, that same optimism that Rice does return. I think that they waited a long time to get to this point to diagnose him. And part of that might have been because, the Chiefs wanted to wait for that swelling in his right knee to go down. But listen, I think the fact that they haven't gotten an official diagnosis, has left a lot of speculation as to what the Chiefs are actually doing. Because they put him on IR, which means that he would only miss 4 games. But if this is an injury that is truly serious, then they probably should have and would have known that a week ago. Like, how long does it take for the swelling to go down and one doctor to look at his knee and be like, yeah, he's not playing again? Like, I don't know, enough about medical procedures and, what exactly they're looking for. But that injury didn't look good on the field, and it kind of just seemed like they were, a little bit lackadaisical when it came to checking out what was actually going on. Because while the Chiefs were able to win last night's game against the Saints, you saw outbreak performances from guys like Juju Smith-Schuster and Kareem Hunt, both of those guys having over 100 yards. But this Chiefs, front office needs to be looking at trading for another wide receiver. And so the fact that you haven't, gotten an official diagnosis, I think that is a big hookup on why they haven't made a trade or why they haven't been linked to trading for other guys, because they wanted to wait and see what was going on with Rashee Rice. But I don't really know what you're going to find out that you didn't already know. I think that the belief in this, Chiefs front office has been that Rashee Rice is not coming back. And so I think that you have to assume, from a team building standpoint, you need to go elsewhere. You need to make a trade for a wide receiver because Rashee Rice isn't coming back. And by some miracle, by the grace of God, if he did come back, he's not going to be any good. He's going to have LCL surgery or LCL reconstruction, and he's not going to be the same player in 2024 that he will be after an entire offseason of healing and rehabbing that injury. So I think the Chiefs have, I don't want to say dropped the ball, but they've been a little bit too cautious and a little too optimistic on their end to not have tried to address the wide receiver issue before. And so, Chiefs Kingdom, I would love to hear your thoughts about this news, about all the conflicting reports. I know that I've made a couple videos in the past, 3 or 4 days that have told you a very different story. But at the time, the reporting kind of seemed like it was going in that direction. And so while I do kind of feel a little bit bad for talking about something that wasn't going to happen, I still did in the back of my mind think that he was not going to come back this season. And while we're still waiting for that official diagnosis that we're going to find out after his little surgery on, Tuesday today, I think that, let's be real, guys, he's not going to come back at any point this season. And we should have had that mindset right after they lost him due to injury in that Chargers game. And so I think the Chiefs front office has to go out and trade for a wide receiver, go get DeAndre Hopkins, go get Amari Cooper, go make a couple big moves to reinforce this wide receiver core, because while Juju Smith-Schuster had a great game against the Saints, is that sustainable long-term in this offense? The answer to that, in my opinion, is a strong no. And so Brett Veach has got his work cut out for him. He has to go out and trade for a wide receiver to make this team better. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. What do you think of the Rashee Rice injury news? And which wide receiver would you want to see get traded to this Chiefs team? I know there's a lot of options out there. We have discussed some and we'll continue to discuss options that could make sense for the Kansas City Chiefs. That's all I've got for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button. Subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this video. Don't forget to follow me on social medias, Instagram and TikTok, KC_Sports Report, and Twitter at KC Sports Report. Until next time, guys, thank you for watching this video, and go Chiefs.